Hello everyone, a short update on Operation Web here. I think this well is about milk dry unless Ukraine releases something new. And I think we've seen all we have to say. But I want to clear a few things up which I didn't cover before. Firstly, I'm going to take a look at some of the hits on the aircraft in the videos which weren't completely destroyed, to show that even though the airframe survived, these aircraft are still out of action. Some of the aircraft are hit multiple times, and the second or third drone picks up damage from a past strike. The first one, a bear, which was hit multiple times. This was eventually destroyed completely, but even if it wasn't, check out the damage that one of these drones caused. Pretty much blasting a hole right on top of the aircraft like that. So, if this airframe ended up surviving, this damage wouldn't have been visible on satellite imagery, but we can clearly see, with a hole in it like this, it wouldn't be flying anytime soon. This 222M was hit twice. You can see the first drone blasted a hole in its side here, underneath the tyres. Now, we all laugh at these tyres, but to be fair, it did force Ukraine to go around them and find a spot on the aircraft to hit but wasn't covered. So, they kinda worked, or achieved something. At the very least, they made Ukraine's job ever so slightly harder. I'll have a look at the tyres more later. This 222M here was hit above the engine area. You can see the drone again caused a hole. Her second drone hit this as well, as we can see here, so another hole would have been caused. This one appeared undamaged on satellite imagery, but you can see this one won't be flying anytime soon because it's got a big hole in its airframe. And here, this 222M was almost beheaded. There's a massive gaping hole right behind the cockpit. Now, safety standards are low in Russia. I wouldn't be too surprised if it didn't just pop some gaffer tape over it and get on with it. But I personally wouldn't want to fly in the cockpit of nearly headless Nick here, since I think it's only a matter of time until his head does fall off. This is another way the damage isn't visible on satellite imagery, but it's clearly out of action. Now, going back to the tyres briefly, the two reasons for the tyres over the planes. I've seen quite a lot of comments asking about them. So for ones like the 222M absolutely covered in tyres, that appears to be a type of protection to stop drones or missiles from damaging them and hitting them and that sort of thing. They first appeared on aircraft shortly after a Ukrainian drone strike destroyed two 222Ms at Kaluga Air Base, I believe it was. But then some of them you can see a row of tyres along the wings which clearly aren't going to do much protection. These ones, the single or double row of tyres, are, I believe, to do more with breaking up the shape of the aircraft to try and confuse AI targeting and satellite imagery. No idea if it works or not, considering some of these drones did use AI targeting. I suspect it doesn't really work. The aircraft with the tyres on clearly still look like aircraft on satellite imagery, just with a row of tyres on top. Now, Geo Confirmed has posted the geolocation of every hit aircraft in this operation, so we can do a full battle damage assessment here and find out how many aircraft were hit, damaged and destroyed and that sort of thing. I'm going to go through them airfield by airfield. Blue is for 295s, yellow for the AN-12, red for the 222M, and the A50s are in green. So at Olenyu Air Base, 4 295 bears destroyed, 1 AN-12 destroyed. A pair of 222M3s hit and damaged. So it appears the drones just pretty much went along the flight line, hitting anything worth hitting. At Ivanovo, 2 A50 AWACS. Unfortunately, as we saw yesterday, these were inactive A50s and didn't have engines. Now, I think Ukraine intended to target the A50 fleet here, hitting the active ones, but the active A50s were likely in the air at the time, so they weren't present. So Ukraine just hit the ones which were available, or in the heat of battle and that sort of thing. Spotted these A50s, assumed they were active, and just, didn't spot in time that they had no engines. One of these, though, has been possibly identified as being the same A50 which was hit by a drone at Belarus a couple of years ago. So, if that's the case and it was moved to the boneyard, then that attack on Belarus did destroy it, or did disable it to such a degree that Russia couldn't repair the radome and the A50 was made inactive. I remember at the time, the usual Russian shills online bragged about that attack failing because the A50 took off and returned to Russia. But now it's possibly in the boneyard. That attack clearly did succeed in disabling it. At Diagolovo Air Base, 3 Tu-22 M3s attacked and damaged here. And finally, Belaya Air Base, 8 Tu-22Ms attacked, 4 destroyed, 4 damaged. 4 Tu-95 Bears attacked, 3 destroyed, 1 damaged, and then moved. So, a grand total of 12 aircraft destroyed, 11 aircraft damaged. 7 of those destroyed were Tu-95 Bears, 4 Tu-22 M3s destroyed, 1 and 12 transporter destroyed. 23 aircraft attacked in total. Now, not shown yet is the one at Ukraine which shown up on satellite imagery. So it is possible Ukraine may release a video showing that soon, or we may get clearer satellite imagery to confirm if it was hit or not. Russia had 56 Tu-22Ms and 47 Tu-95 Bears in service according to Flight Global Index. However, some of these were not operational and hadn't moved for years, as I covered in the past video. Tatarugami on Twitter estimated Russia had 80 active bombers in total, including the Tu-160s, of which we have 20. So, this attack has taken out a significant number of Russia's bomber fleet. The Bears and Tu-22Ms are also not under production anymore, and parts aren't available for them. So, these damaged Tu-22Ms that we saw, a good number of them may be written off completely, notably the one that nearly beheaded. But the other ones, if vital components inside that can't be replaced were damaged or destroyed by the drone detonating, then they can't be repaired. Now, everyone seems to have glossed over the poor old An-12 transporter. He's gotten lost in the mix of it. So I'm going to give him a shout out. 59 of these in service. It's possible that some of these aren't active as well, but we can't be sure. These are transporter patrol aircraft. Now, before we finish, a quick look at some very clear satellite imagery that was shared yesterday as well. They don't show us anything new, but do show us the extent of destruction caused to the aircraft and a few other interesting bits and pieces. Like on this image here, there's a wreck of a Tu-95 Bear, or rather the charred remains of a Tu-95 Bear. I don't think we could call this a wreck really. But interestingly circled in blue, a Pantsir SAM system, which completely failed in its job at defending the Tu-95 Bear 50 yards away. Here, also from Elenia, 3 destroyed Bears, one of them just part of a wing remains, the rest are just debris. You can see Russia has already started clean-up operations here, with a number of vehicles around to take the remains to a scrapyard. At Belaya, a demolished Tu-22M. It's a shame really more drones weren't sent to Belaya. In hindsight, it may have been better to use the drones that targeted Ivanovo to instead head here, as check out the other Tu-22Ms nearby. There's a lot of targets at this base. This was definitely the big target. This Tu-22M may also have taken out a few missiles at the time. At the left you can see what looked like ammo crates. These Tu-95s at Belaya incidentally were ones which were loaded with missiles at the time and fuel, and so were preparing to go on a combat operation. It's also estimated that up to 10 missiles were destroyed in the attack as well, which makes it a nice bit of a Brucey bonus. So that's it for this video. Hope you found it interesting. If so, please click like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to play a very short video from NAFO about the ongoing fundraiser, which features Suchomimus channel patches starring channel mascot Muffin. Since there's only a few $100s left to go, this will likely be your last chance to get a Muffin patch if you want one, as the fundraiser will pretty much be closing, I think, after tonight. Thanks so much to everybody who's donated to the campaign so far. Thanks so much for watching the videos. And I'll guess after this video's gone out, we'll be back to normal service looking at battles and destroyed vehicles and events in Ukraine itself.
Good evening. We are a reconnaissance crew of a 3rd Assault Brigade. Since 2024, for many months, we hold the front line in Kharkiv region. Non-stop battles require a lot of equipment. Therefore, we need help from you, our friends from Help 99 and NAFO. We really need DJI Mavic drones, specifically 8 Mavic 3T and 6 Mavic 3 Pro. Also, we have need of a pickup truck. Thank you for your help. Everything would be much harder without you. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
UAV company split of 13th Battalion 95th Air Assault Brigade. We're in dire need of a pickup truck for evacuating wounded personnel and for completing combat missions. On top of that, we also need Mavic 3T drones to enhance our reconnaissance and combat capabilities. We ask NAFO and charity fund 99, Help 99, to provide us with said equipment. Glory to Ukraine.